All right, it is 7 o'clock. I will open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Everybody with your eyes. Moving hands. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. This is the Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 meeting of the Nottingham Planning Board. We have on the agenda 2 cases tonight. The first case is 25-003 SIT Nottingham Business Park. The applicant has requested to continue this case to Wednesday, April 23rd. So I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to extend it till April 23rd for case 25-003.
Is there a second?
I'll second or whatever. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't. I figured I'd wait, but
Which one are you?
Let him have it.
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
All right, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the applicant's request to continue their case to Wednesday, April 23rd. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we do not have a 7-member board tonight. We are at 6, so the counts are 6-0-0 on that because our vice chair is out tonight. The second case is 25-007 sub. It's sub A, excuse me. It's Roberto Lepizan Drive, application from Berry Surveying and Engineering on behalf of Robert DeBerto, requesting an amendment to the previously approved planning board case from 2020. It's number 20-003 SUB, Stone Gray and Lipizan Drive, Mitchell Road. The applicant is looking for approval to provide a driveway easement across the end lot in the cul-de-sac into the town of Barrington to gain access to buildable area opposite the town line. The property is located at Lipizan Drive, under construction, off Captain Smith and Mitchell Road in Nottingham, and is identified as tax map 7, lot number 1-N. This is the initial public hearing for this case. Mr. Berry.
Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Christopher Berry. I'm with Berry Surveying and Engineering, representing Mr. DeBerto here this evening. I think the chair might be the only person on the board that might remember this project, so I'll give a little bit of history and detail to this. So Mr. DeBerto bought a piece of property from the Taylor family in 2020. We surveyed and proposed a subdivision. That parcel had a town line that ran through approximately a quarter of it. So some of the land was in Barrington, some of the land was in Nottingham, and we undertook a subdivision project in the town of Nottingham, which created a loop road on or off from Mitchell Road. So we started on Mitchell Road, created a loop road back through to Mitchell Road, and then off from that loop road is a small cul-de-sac called Lipizan Drive. In 2021, the planning board approved that subdivision for us, and Mr. DeBerto has started construction. One house lot has been sold off, and one of the homes has been recently finished for sale. Since that time, we have undertaken a subdivision in the town of Barrington on the parcel of land as it remains in Barrington. And that's sort of the application that you see here before you, where we're proposing 1 commercial lot in the town of Barrington, 2 residential lots in the town of Barrington. But instead of accessing the residential home sites in Barrington off from Route 4, which would require a large amount of wetland crossing, we're proposing a driveway easement off from the end of our proposed roadway into the 2 building envelopes. So we've sort of gone back and forth. We have a notice of decision from our Nottingham approval that stated that we would come back to the board for some kind of an approval. From reading the minutes and my recollection of that meeting, I don't know that an approval was needed from this board for this proposed driveway. But I simply noted that the town of Nottingham would be notified of any work that would have been done in the town of Barrington. So it's taken us a little bit to get to this point tonight where Blair and I have sort of worked out that we think it's probably most appropriate that this be an amendment to permit this. But again, I think our understanding from the original planning board action was that we would notify the town and not necessarily get an approval of any kind or an amendment of any kind. We're happy to have that request with you. So what I've done is I've essentially submitted to you the plans that the town of Barrington has approved. Their approval is contingent on your notification and any comments that you may or may not have on the application. And this plan package demonstrates where the driveway would be constructed off the end of the proposed cul-de-sac and how it would be constructed, meaning the grading and all of that type of stuff. So I know Blair has given the board copies of the meeting minutes and copies of our notice of decision from the original subdivision. Recently, he had asked for copies of our planning board approval in Barrington and our ZBA approval in Barrington, which we did submit a couple days ago now when he asked. So that's the basic request here this evening. I'd be happy to try and answer any questions the board has.
Blair, do you have anything on this application?
Yeah, I sent a few notes to everybody. It was outside of my typical staff report because it's not a subdivision application that's before the board. It's a request for a driveway access over land that exists in Nottingham to buildable land in Barrington. So I really didn't know how to force it into one of those formats. So I just sent you some notes to consider. There's a reference to the RSA 674-53, which covers land in two communities, and it talks about access, but it also talks about roads and highways. This being a driveway, it would seem like it falls into the access piece. The board needs to understand that as part of its purview, it's limited to what's in Nottingham. Because that's what the statute, the RSA states. So, in this case, it's two lots, but how they got those two lots isn't really the purview of this board. Frontage, backlots, things like that.
I have a quick question. As part of the board's purview over the access, can we ask about fire regulations, making sure that the driveway is sufficient for either the Nottingham or Barrington fire departments? And as part of that, who would be responsible for responding to an emergency on those two lots?
The second question I'll take first because the answer is I don't know. I don't know who responds. The second question, you can pose it to the applicant or our fire chief, but if we think about this as a standard subdivision where everything's in Nottingham and we have purview over it all, I don't know to what extent the fire chief looks at driveways and accessibility. They typically look at the roadway and do they have access to it. If it's a long driveway, I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at our regulations to see if there's much that's in there. But typically, it's about can I get to the lot?
Right.
So yeah.
To the buildable area.
Yeah, to the buildable area. Yeah.
Were you going to say something, Mr. Barry?
Well, I can provide a little better context just because it's my field of expertise. So driveways over 150 feet in length are required to meet the NFPA code Chapter 1 NFPA 1, Chapter 18, which is fire access. As demonstrated, these are not over 150 feet, but they may be over 150 feet if somebody chooses to move their building envelope around a little bit. So this driveway is proposed to be 20 feet wide and meet NFPA Chapter 1, NFPA 1, Chapter 18. And the purview of that life safety access would be over the building permit process in the town of Barrington. So a building permit can't be issued unless the life safety code is also being met in that instance. I would also point out, not that it's overly relevant, but we are installing a cistern less than 500 feet from these two lots in the town of Nottingham as part of our subdivision process.
Was that part of the original
Yeah.
subdivision? So that's been looked at, approved? and-
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. And active construction for that will take place this spring.
So if I understand this correctly, this proposed driveway is crossing the lot on the right side of the cul-de-sac.
That's correct. Yep.
So it's part of that, that right of way across that lot is
Mhm.
basically what you're asking for.
Yep.
So this becomes a second driveway across, off of that cul-de-sac. I thought our regulation only allowed for one curb cut.
I didn't want to cut Blair off, but the regulations allow for multiple curb cuts along your frontage, so long as you have the visible site distance required along your frontage.
I have a question.
Okay, before we keep going any further, we still need to discuss the completeness of the application, correct?
Yeah, I think, given that it sounds like Mr. Roberto has come up to snuff with the application fee and for this application, and he has, it's sort of tangentially involved, has paid up for the other fees owed to the town.
Okay,
So, how much that's relevant here, but yeah, at least this application has been paid for.
right, and in looking it over, there's nothing further we need, we've received everything in kind of spurts and starts, or starts and spurts or whatever, over the week. I haven't had a chance to look over everything on here,
Yep.
because a lot of it just came today.
Yeah.
But the application itself, I have reviewed. Do you see anything that we are missing
I mean,
to be able to accept it? Or
Yeah,
maybe not?
I think the board can accept it. It's not a standard application because it's an amendment. We don't really
Correct.
have an amendment application. It's, but,
Okay,
so as we move forward, though, we're gonna have to talk about, given the history of fees and staying up to date on them. There's the fee for SRPC, which I believe is part of the application, but it looks like you're proposing a stormwater management pieces as part of this driveway,
Nope, those are all part of the Nottingham project that's been approved already.
and that's already
Yep.
going part of that,
That's right.
okay?
So there should be, I noticed part of the, and I'm not, I don't mean to get ahead, but as part of Blair's comments, it had to do with CMA review and all these sorts of things. We're simply asking for a driveway. Everything else that is in the town of Nottingham has been reviewed and approved by the town of Nottingham and their agents.
There will need to be a discussion about how this, for the driveway for all of it, there's a bond that needs to be put up for all of this. The road construction and stormwater.
There's a performance bond that's required and a surety bond that's required when building permits are issued, but Nottingham does not have bonding requirements to start construction. There should probably be, before construction starts this spring, a pre-construction meeting where Mr. DeBerto is informed of all of his obligations to the town and to the review agents, and you should definitely hold him accountable for that.
Are you saying that they don't require a bond prior to building permits because of the recent change in law?
Yes,
But wasn't his approved prior to that?
doesn't matter.
It's retroactive?
Yes.
It would require a bond for any unfinished items that are, on the project once the, plan is, the conditions of the subdivision are approved, but, I don't know, do we even have an approved road here that's, it's approved, but I mean, what's being put in there?
It's on the prior plans that were approved. So, last piece on this, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but you did say in your opening introductions that one lot has received a building permit, one lot's been sold. Those would have been triggers.
No, those have frontage on Mitchell Road, so those are not triggers for the active construction.
This is not what I've understood it to be. I understood there was a lot of requests for a statement of values that have been ignored.
There could be requests for statement of values, but that doesn't mean that there's an obligation to post a bond.
Isn't that the
No.
first step?
It's a first step. Typically, under the current state law, a statement of values is placed so that when the applicant is looking to basically start construction on one of the lots or some of the lots in the subdivision, that statement of values is then used to create the surety bond.
All right. Well, for the time being, what's before you, the fees have been paid, the application has what we would need to make a decision, and move forward. So I would think you can accept the application as complete.
The application has what we need to make a decision, but not,
You have what you need to accept it. If
Okay.
you, and through your deliberations, through conversations with Chris and the applicant, whatever, any public testimony, you decide you don't have what you need to make a decision, that's fine. But I think you have enough to make a decision on accepting the application.
okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
that's what I meant to say.
Because there's a lot of stuff
Yeah, no, I get it, yeah.
that was not there.
Yeah.
All right, so I need a motion to accept the application as complete.
I'll make a motion on case number 25-007, sub A, Deberto-Lipizan, hopefully I'm saying that right, Drive, to accept the application as complete.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
And moved and seconded to accept the application as complete. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, that's a 6-0. All right, so you had something you wanted to ask. Now that the application is actually before us, we can go forward with.
Certainly, a lot of things, but I guess the first question is the status of this road here, this Lipizan Drive. Certainly it could be approved, but if they've never installed it, it's supposed to be a paved road. It's a dirt, mud, roughed-in, graded road right now is what I see. I don't know if I'm wrong about that, but that we would be granting access over this unfinished road and putting some sort of liability upon the town, potentially. I do think that RSA 674-41 applies in this case where there's no frontage on a road access, at least here in our town. We should have a waiver of liability at minimum for the town, so if they can't get up or down this road, then it's, not gonna say, hey, the town approved this and now they can't get a fire truck up, or Barrington can't get a fire truck up there. I think we need to protect the town in that respect.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
Chris, I have not been out here to see this.
Mhm.
Could you please let us know what is currently there and what the plan is moving forward?
Yep, so both this small cul-de-sac and the entire loop have been roughed out and brought to subgrade. The major wetland crossing has been completed. There's been one of the stormwater features that has been started and nearly completed. There has been the required blasting that was at the entrance to the roadway is completed. All that material has been crushed on site. So the project is under active construction. I might suggest that if the board is concerned about what the completion of the roadway is, that we simply condition this that so just to back up a second, your approval is required prior to Barrington moving forward for their final approval. So I might, if I were on a board and in your position, condition this that building permits in Barrington should not be applied for or granted until a passable road to the standard set forth in the subdivision plan be constructed. And then the intent of the original subdivision plan is met, and there's no liability, in my opinion, that's placed on the town. I mean, he wants to finish the road, you want him to finish the road. I think we all have the same goals in mind. I think it's just making sure that one cart or another doesn't get placed before the horse.
Okay, thank you.
I have a stupid question.
None of them are, except the one not asked.
Huh?
No question stupid, except the one that doesn't
Yeah.
get asked.
Wouldn't it have been a lot easier to just put the cul-de-sac basically to the town line?
Potentially. I mean, we had a large amount of deliberation on that when this project was going through the approval process in Nottingham. I think the concern at the time is we don't want to needlessly put roads in other towns or get it to a point where you're placing one responsibility for a town inside of another community. So I think the easiest approach was to just hold the cul-de-sac back and do a basic driveway easement. Also, more frontage would be more impact, and potentially a different number of units would be out there. I think we're trying to limit the number of units that are out there.
Anything else?
We should do a site walk and investigate the road and the condition, if it's even passable or accessible. Is my initial thought, and I think there could be a condition on this for a future road to be finished, possibly.
Well, it sounds like that's what he's saying anyway,
Yeah.
is that,
You're right.
I would,
I have,
We should do a site walk and see what's out there.
sounds like mud.
I have a question regarding, where this is a driveway easement going to a parcel in another town. Are we allowed to look at our zoning regulations and see if, if, for example, the other parcels were in the town, do we treat it the same? Or are we allowed to look at what the zoning, what our zoning rules allow for example, like a backlot subdivision? Because there's no frontage in the town.
But that's the whole issue with us just looking at the driveway easement and nothing else.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that we are looking at it just as a driveway easement.
Correct.
But we would normally, if we were doing something like this for any other lot in town, we'd still have to look at the frontages.
Because we'd be starting from scratch. We're not doing that with this.
Right, we can't look at the stuff because it's in Barrington.
That's kind of what I'm.
Right, because
Yeah.
that's in Barrington, it does not apply to us.
Has legal been asked about this aspect at all? Because this is totally new territory.
Yes.
Is that information in something we received today?
Yes.
So then I'm thinking we probably need to go into a non-public session.
We can do that.
Pardon?
We can do that. Yeah.
All right. So. A non-public session is one that is under 91-A:3. It's something we do when we need to discuss information that is not of the public, because it's not for public, word I want.
Communications from the town council is considered attorney-client privilege,
Thank you.
and it's a privileged communication.
And so I need to have someone move that we go into non-public session according to,
I will make
wait,
a,
let me finish, please, thank you. It's 91 A:3, and the reason is for consideration of legal advice.
Is that I or something, or
It's L,
L? L's legal.
correct. So if you'd like to make that now, Chris, I'll let you.
He doesn't want to do
I will,
So moved.
Just say so moved.
So moved, yeah.
so moved.
Okay,
And I'll second.
okay. And it needs to be a roll call vote. So I'll start with you, Danny?
Aye.
John?
Aye, John Decker.
Aye.
I, Teresa Bascom.
Aye, Glenn Griswold.
Aye, Adam Ryan.
All right, it is currently 19:26. We will go into another room. 7, excuse me, I'm military time. We'll be back.
Confusing us, we have to do math here.
It's easy, it's 12 and you add a number.
It's math.
Take your binders with you.
Rider.
Take your binders with you.
Hopefully there's a room.
Oh, Lana.
That big cone of silence like they have in the Get Smart.
Probably wrapped up in my binder. Grab that one.
Are you here to fight with me tonight, Sue?
I'm sorry?
I said, are you here to fight with me tonight? Oh, cool.
I'm kind of taking Sam's place,
Sam's place?
because he oftentimes will come
That's right. he will.
planning board meetings.
That's right.
Are you Mr. DeBardo?
No, I'm obsolete. Our age group would know that.
Oh, okay. I'm Susan Mooney, Conservation Commission.
Oh, Susan, so nice to meet you. Yes, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Anything conservation is good. I want my grandkids to have water, trees,
Birds.
no kids, 18, 20. You know, I won't tip you, but I want you to remember something. You carry the fire.
Yeah.
Look at lights.
No, at that age they don't. They grow into it.
How long have you been talking about it?
Since 2001, I joined the Conservation Commission. Coming in on 152, there was a beautiful field that I always admired coming home from work. And all of a sudden, houses started popping up, and I went, oh, I'm on the Conservation Commission.
See, I was talking to a kid, anybody on foot. And, contemplated where business is. I'm not sure.
Oh, no.
Do something.
Or something. Yeah, yeah.
But I think they're waking up. I hope they're waking up. Have you ever been to one of these where they actually all left? Ever?
They do.
This is like my 5th one
Oh, is it?
in Nottingham.
No, I've been to a couple of meetings with Chris, and I'm so glad I never went to school to be an engineer.
You don't go to school for this.
Excuse me, you're originally from Nottingham?
Hampshire native, yeah.
I came from, Mass originally, moved to Bedford County.
Oh,
So
yeah,
we're
yeah.
always in tune with this before anybody saw, and I've been up here. I live in York, Maine now.
Oh, you do?
I love this area.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
That's how we get lost here.
Especially if you're trying to use GPS, and they take you over a bridge that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah.
Thank God my grandson was with me. Okay, that's it. Got around. I think they actually closed the road. So my wife got a knee operation 2 weeks ago. And she's recuperating. But the bad news is I have to be the caretaker. Not for me, for her. But I kept her alive.
That's good.
Seems like you have to drive there, yes or no? And there is a driveway in Deerfield that connects to a house line from Nottingham. So it's the opposite.
Yeah, I grew up in
opposite.
Rochester.
I think that, I think you did. You did.
Not in, I've never done a project in New York. I do some work in Maine. I'm kind of selective about the work I do. I don't know the state law, as well as I know the state law here. Yeah, and so I always feel like I'm at a disadvantage over there when someone says something. It's kind of like, I don't know if that's right or not. Here, I can rebut.
With Brooke,
Oh, yeah.
I think, the challenge was all, I did five building Connecticut, which is the most judicial state. And you let them,
That is a fact.
dance with us, one night.
That is a fact.
So I learned a lot of things. But isn't that incredible? There was a very wise bit of information I received. We get, George Washington can tell you that. And working in New York. And I was, I met with the planner. The code said you could do it anyway. So we went to this route. This is a really nice engineer, this kid. Really nice. I never seen him do this. He goes, I'm all over again. And I told him, trying to get this approved.
And they want to hear from the planner.
Yeah. That's good.
Teresa, she's very experienced. She's been the chair of the ZBA now. And she's been on the planning board for a long time. Ever since I've done work here, she's been on the planning board. Her daughter used to be the land use secretary. Yeah.
It's awful hard because there's so much. Especially when they come in. Oh, we got it. I thought that maybe
It's time consuming. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I learned a lot there. And a lot of really good professors there that, like, my focus was in surveying at the time, and I had already been surveying since I was a little kid. So I had a lot of free time. And a lot of professors just took me aside and says, hey, you know, we're gonna learn about drainage, we're gonna learn about traffic today. Yeah, so I got sort of a free education from some practical guys down at the university. It was really good. Yeah. He's retired now, Tom Ballestero. He ran the stormwater center for a long time. He was a mentor of mine, and again, I had a lot of free time. I would say, hey, why don't you come in the lab and we do this or we do that. Just talk you stuff that you're not in school. And he was friendly with my dad. They knew each other. So it just, yeah, it was a good experience. So, so ironically, I never finished in engineering. I finished in surveying. And when I got out of school, I took the first surveying exam, passed that. And then I haven't done any, I run the company and I hire surveyors and engineers. And I haven't done anything. So, and my dad finally said to me, hey, get off your ass and get your license. And I've never been afraid of anything in life. And I determined this in the last year. I haven't done it because I was afraid of it. And I don't know why I was afraid of it. So I submitted I have to submit a package of experience to the licensing board. And they accepted my application, and then I had to take a national exam. I took a national exam, passed that, and then at the end of this month, ironically, I take the state-specific surveying exam.
Well, good luck.
Thank you. Hopefully I do well.
I think you'll do fine.
Yeah.
It's the experience, I think, to me, is great.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Like experience. You know, they gotta dance with us.
There was ironically, when I left my office today, there was a study group going on at the conference room table. One of the guys that's worked for me since he was 16, he's been a PE now for a couple of years. And 2 or 3 of the other guys have been accepted to take the exam. So he's been coaching them on what to study and how to take the exam. Yeah.
Doing this since. My town.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
we all work in whole neighborhoods. Be a fan. Good access.
Yeah. The electrical inspector. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's the old adage.
Don't piss me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you worked out all right.
So yeah, we have a good group of guys. Actually, I need to, my assistant, she's like, I call her assistant project manager because she does everything that we need on the project, she kind of manages for us. And she just said to me a couple months ago, she says, you know my boyfriend in England? She's like, I'm gonna move to England.
No.
At the end of April. No. And I was like, oh boy. She's been with me for like 10 years.
Why change your values?
Yeah, and then my
Oh, geez.
administrator administrative assistant, you know, and more and more and more, and you just rely on her for everything. I call her team mom. And she fell, she's not very old, she fell and broke her hip. And she's just down for the count for 6 months, basically.
Yes.
It was so bad, it was a bank issue. And I haven't done my own banking in years. And I made a mistake on the transaction or something, and the girl goes, "You're off by $200. And I said, "How's that?" And she goes, "I don't know, is this 7 or 9? I'm like, "I don't know, it's just shitty handwriting." And she looks at me and she goes, "When is Stephanie coming back?" Yeah, I said, "That's, everybody wants to know and stuff."
That's weird.
Yeah, I told Stephanie, when I got home, I sent her a message, I was like, "Yeah, it's not just me that wants you back.
The bank girl.
The bank girls want you back too." When is Stephanie coming back? Mm-hmm. Right.
I read that girl so much.
You? Oh, you have to be.
And since working with her, I could get a therapist.
Yeah, good, yeah, yeah.
True.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 And how organized they are, and yes, yeah.
She. Right, it has to be done.
Right.
Like everybody. And they so used to 4% trade. And I was myself, and in this area, this was front border. They never had. We've gone through.
Yeah, yeah.
So. I picked this where we are now. Because there is no challenge. He's come up with a different name.
Right.
So this.
Yeah, no. I had a, he didn't work for me for very long, but his focus was always the approval and not the conversation that got to, you know. And I had to, I ultimately let him go. Because it was like, you can't be that bullshit. Because someone smarter than you is gonna show up and call you, know, at I mean, Glenn is a perfect.
Oh, that's that
Glenn is a
house,
nice
okay.
surveyor. He works for a competitive very smart guy, you know, you can't sit here, and I know that because I know Glenn very well. Someone were to come in and sit down and just
Yeah.
lie and fail. It's the type of stuff that gets called up.
No, the individual lots
Guys,
were,
well-to-do.
Yeah.
it could be other. Oh, so.
He's got 2.5
That's a hundred. Say, oh, oh, that's the house. The house? That's the house. What's this?
I said, go in with him, because he does the state.
That was back in.
Get the actual bid from him, okay, and get the actual time he's gonna stop. And there was one other thing he did. Yes. When you finish it, I woke you up, said, I'll finish it. No one would sign off on it. By the way, I got the whole town. I mean, I got everybody that goes, signs everybody. And you can get, Ken, good dude.
Yeah.
And, your attorney and buy it. If I had done the project,
So that's what I have to.
everything that they do, we do. Right, so, I want to get one. You want to?
Oh, no, it's,
It's a-
yeah.
Yeah, I just listen.
Even though it's from, it's.
First of all, the, Columbus, the guy hates. Who did that? The planners at the, rules into one thing, first subdivision. Okay.
Next year.
Seconds of it.
It's,
That's why we had to get a lot of hundreds. That is there. Which not one thing.
That's problematic.
So, I know this is three. I got that one.
The kids were living there. Yeah, we had the house built, and that's another 2 years coming up in just July. We were in the little house, and they were in the big house. Because they took that siding right out the back door. So 3 years.
Basically,
It's not 3 years yet.
we gotta finish.
Because we haven't been there, we haven't been in there for 3 years.
I gotta talk to
July.
So what is that? I'm not getting involved.
You had younger.
So it, yes, and I talk, another guy comes in, you know, makes some really nice things across the street. I actually went to the private farm and waited for him. So we chit chat and talk. And I was waiting to stay, the three of us were having this conversation. You have a card? Yeah. I'll sign it. She said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "It's okay to put in the exact road to 22. Right. I have a whole 9 yards. Once I got that, and we had it done by 5 weeks. But anyway, yeah, that's okay, we got another 15 years.
Is Ken retired?
No, no, I think he'd like you.
Yeah.
He's,
You might have heard it.
my wife is, came over about 9 years old. She had breast, that was it. True story. Fathers sent the children. And then eventually they were to, over years, get out. It all became. They all, the kids all went to college. Yeah, very much pride. But the thoughts of Lebanese, Lebanese, very opposite. I never went on. And, what the whole is the key thing.
Yeah.
So, I told my wife, she can't really cookies that are ground. Fondly, probably. That's what my wife told me. Maybe that's just a sense of thought. I was always straight with him. And he's not, he talked again. Wait, what?
He's very rough to talk to at first.
160 seconds. And every time I called him, 160. I've heard from a couple people.
Yeah.
And he's not really nice. Yeah, he's working. Frank, not really. I'm not sure. I think he agrees. So.
It's asshole.
Way too much shit here.
I have no problem with that.
I'm sure they would love this.
Yeah, from our business. And, you know, from and I never took up the time. I got one time. I know where that was. His wife comes in. Marriage. Yes, but he's a guy that worked in a hospital. A couple of people that worked for him since 16. Before I showed that. You know, the common sense and.
Yeah, right, yes, the basic things.
There is a center there, and the dark Starbucks, go into Starbucks, Waterside. The guy owns a number of those malls, was upset, and give it to someone in Boston. And it was, they were auctioning it, and it's mostly empty, $3 million. Can't put a hotel, can't do much, because Kittery's not lost.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
There he is.
They've got so many books that
Cape.
approve and build. So he says, so the guy probably enough to sell that son was offered 2.5, because he owned 3 or 4 restaurants right there. Contingency, I'll let you go. So he walks. I tell him, the money coming in. Massachusetts, New York, I've got a senior.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. And then groups.
Yeah.
The way it's been explained to me.
We're certainly discussing that.
Didn't leave.
Christopher Barry.
They're all still here. I said, oh dang, they're all still here.
What a great prank, they all just leave.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I was, that's why I asked.
Huh?
Dave's son.
I,
I was
I will make a motion to close the non-public session of tonight's meeting.
Second.
Roll call.
Wait, 1 second. I've gotta write this down,
Yep,
just because
sorry.
it makes it easier. It's okay. Chris, okay. Go ahead.
Aye.
Aye, John Tacker.
Hi, Chris Evans.
I, Teresa Dawson.
Aye, Glenn Griswold.
Aye, Adam Ryan.
All right, that's a 6-0. We're back with you all. Thank you, and I appreciate your patience. It doesn't look like we lost anybody.
We lost Sue.
Sue, okay. Well, we did then. She was hidden. I couldn't see her. All right. What's your pleasure?
I think we should make a motion to continue this meeting, and also, for one, until we gather up and have an adequate chance to review the details here.
Can I just ask a point of order question? What details are those?
We just received legal review of this, and we haven't really read it or digested it.
I wasn't-
Any sort of sense of it.
I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were referring to is all. Yep.
And the second part of that was to be able to go up to the site and see where this is and take a look at, do a site walk. That was the next motion I was gonna discuss.
So are you moving that? You said I would like to make, are you moving that?
Well, that we do a site walk. Let's start with that.
Okay.
Plan a site walk.
Would somebody from your group be able to, okay.
Yeah, either myself or Kevin or one of us will be there. I apologize for last weekend, by the way.
Who was there? Was that Kevin?
Yeah.
He was very well prepared.
He's a smart dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did an excellent job.
Thank you.
I was expecting a lot of, he did an excellent job.
Thank you. I'll let him know.
Please do.
Do you have a date in mind? And mind you, our meeting on the 23rd has, what, 2 or 3 cases on it already? 3, so,
When are we doing another site walk? Will we piggyback right on that?
no,
No?
no, we don't have another sidewalk plan. I'm saying our next meeting, we already have 3 cases.
Right.
I thought we had one planned for some reason.
If there is, then you'll be at it by yourself, because none of us know about it.
Huh, okay, let's see it. When do we, Saturday? We're April 9th here today. Do we have to post
10
notice for
days,
it,
right?
for a site walk?
I mean, it can be
Yes,
on a
we-
weekday. It doesn't have to be on a
Right, it
weekday.
doesn't have, right, it doesn't have to be on a weekend.
I won't be there either way, but like, we can, you know, we can do it. We used, I mean, now that the summer, it's getting closer, you know, it's sunlight out until 7 PM.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do have the option.
And a lot
Should
of, we
only be
need,
10
10
minutes.
days, right? for
Yes.
public notice?
No, I guess you don't. You only need, I think, 1 day, 24 hours.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's not a public hearing, it's a public meeting, and it's a site visit, so you only need to post it. It's not a notification to abutters. The butters should be here tonight if they want to go, yada, yada.
Okay.
So,
I was thinking giving the general public time to go.
yeah, I mean, being at the meeting would be their notification, and as well as the public posting, so.
None, Chris?
So are we saying we want to do it on a weeknight? Is that what we said here? Or
That would
a
be better
Saturday
for
or
me.
Sunday?
A weeknight would be better for me.
Weeknight, okay. Thursday the 17th, that's next Thursday, not,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I hate to be the one that does this, but I'm not available on the 17th.
I was gonna say, the thing with next week is I mean, this Sunday, for anybody who's Christian, is Palm Sunday, then you've got Holy Thursday, then you've got Good Friday.
Okay, check.
So that's kind of tough.
Does
And I don't
the,
know what all Chris is
Yeah.
referring to, but I'm just letting you know from
Yeah,
my
I
point of
have my
view.
birthday next Friday, so. yeah.
Oh, well, happy birthday early.
what about the
It's just another
15th?
day.
What's that?
The 15th, Tuesday?
I won't be there, but I would be fine with that.
And I don't have, it would have been a zoning board meeting, but I don't have any cases.
The other thing too is the board members all have access because of the application they sign. So this is, you know, if you can't make it the night that is, you still have the ability to go.
We could
You
still
just-
go.
You just would have to go on your own.
Mhm. And that's fine, that's,
Or pull up Google.
Yeah, exactly.
You can see it pretty clear there.
So do you want to do the 15th? Does that work for you?
Tax day, fine.
April 15th at what time?
6?
I said I couldn't be there, so Tuesdays are bad for me.
Danny, would that work for you?
Yep.
Adam?
Works for me?
Have class.
So there's been a motion, I think, for a site walk on Tuesday, April 15th at 6 PM. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded now for a site walk on Tuesday, April 15th at 6 PM. Discussion? And all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 1, 2, all right,
Well, let's go.
all right, 6-0. All right, and a motion to continue?
Motion to continue on this case. Do I need the numbers and all that happiness, or?
Yeah, just in this case.
Here.
Thank you, sir. Make a motion to continue case number 25-007. Oh, before I do that, do we open to public discussion on this?
Yeah, you could do public hearing, public comment right now if you want to.
Can?
Yeah.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I will make a motion to open it to public comment.
Okay. All right,
8:02?
we don't need a motion for that, but thank you. I appreciate that.
My paper bag.
All right, if there's anyone here who would like to speak for this application, you are free to come forward and state your name and your address and give us your comments. Anyone here? Okay.
I'm Jennifer Buck, and I live on 2 Sutton Street. I'm in a butter. I don't know if this is something that should be talked about today or not, but concerns, like you said about the fire department coming in, what about the schools? The Barrington School, is the bus going to be coming up and down our road? There's going to be at least 4 new cars coming in because of those houses that are in now Barrington. Another thing is, you know that all of the road is like mud. If I was somebody that was thinking about buying a piece of property in Nottingham on that division, would you want to be driving through that mud right now? I think the road needs to be established first. I wouldn't even want to start building on any of those pieces of property right now because it's so muddy. The first driveway is a road going in. You go like this, and it's just a swamp. So these are just some things that, we're concerned about. I'm sure I'm missing some things, but, we haven't seen anything really happening other than that house that was built, on Mitchell Road. I don't know if any of the properties have sold or not. We don't see it. You know, we're looking it up and we don't see it, but
Okay.
it's just a concern
Thank
of
you.
somebody that's, you know, living on a scenic Mitchell Road. It's changed a lot since I've been there 28 years ago. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak for or against this? Remember, we're looking at the access road. That's our purview for this application. All right, I don't remember what time I opened it up.
8:02.
Thank you. It is now 8:05.
Ed used to write out the town all the time, so.
Pardon?
Ed used to say the time it started and finished, so I took note of it.
Well, I like to, but I forgot. Not on top of my game tonight, I guess. All right. Anything else? Mr. Barry, would you like to add?
Nope, nothing new to add. I think we can all agree that a road needs to be built, but
Okay.
I don't know what else to say other than that.
All right, anything else from you guys?
A motion to continue, case 25-007, sub A, Deberto Lipizan Drive, till our next meeting, which is
April 23rd.
April 23rd
Is there a second?
I'll second.
at
Been-
7 PM.
Yes. Okay. That's what time to start. It's been moved and seconded that we continue this case to April 23rd. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 It's unanimous.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too. We'll see you at the end of the month. All right, we will be continuing with our meeting. Before we do that, for those of you that are here for this particular application, please be aware that we are going to be doing a site walk on the 15th at 6 PM. The case will then come back before us on the 23rd. Our meeting starts at 7. We have 4 cases now. This will be the 4th case. So I have no idea what time it will officially start. You will not be getting any more notices. This is your notice. Please keep track of things on the town website in case you would like anything further.
And it is open to the public for the sidewalk?
The site walk is open to the public, yes.
I think we're all boots.
Yes. Wear your muck boots.
Yes.
Can you drive? Can you actually drive into the end of that spot for the site walk? Is it?
into the end of the road,
It's just, it's very muddy.
Right,
And have
but
4
so
roads
for,
up there.
right,
Depends on the rain.
right,
Yeah.
so,
The one at the beginning is like,
mhm, okay.
that's quicksand.
Right, because if I'm gonna go at a different point in time and,
One end is about 2 feet. The other end you can drive.
okay. So make sure I drive my truck,
Yeah.
not my Honda.
Thank you, Mr. Berry. We are. Thank you. I wouldn't let them go any further on the questions with that. Just so you know, we are going to continue with our review of bylaws, master plan committee, and you're welcome to stay. We cannot discuss the cases that are before us, so no discussion on that. If you'd like to stay, you're welcome to. If not, you can feel free to go. Okay? So we are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We will be having public comment later after we go through our bylaws and review of minutes. So did everybody have a chance to review the bylaws? That's what's next on our agenda.
Yes.
All right.
I will, as a point of discussion, I'd say there's probably a lot to discuss. Can we hear public comment at this juncture, so these guys don't hang out with us, if they just, is that permissible?
I guess we can. Again, public comment cannot be on any cases that are before the board. It's a, Blair, we can move the agenda around at this point, yes?
Yeah, you guys can take things out.
All right, if you'd like to come up, you may.
Peter Rao, 156 Stevens Hill Road, and I understand there's a public comment. I don't expect any input from the board, bring it back and forth on the board, because you can't do that with public comment. I am going to ask you one question for you now.
Paige, do you mind just speaking and make sure you speak
Oh,
to
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Do you want me to repeat it again? Peter Rao, 156 Stevens Hill Road. I understand this is public comment. I don't expect any input from the board. I just wanted to make the board aware that I'm not real pleased with the way that started subdivision went, which was a 001, the first one of this year. I think it was pushed through fairly quickly, and there was some errors made by the board. I feel that. I'm not coming from a layman. I've been inspecting, reviewing plans for 30 years. A lot of subdivision plans, mostly building plans. But I've worked in this field for a long time. I haven't paid attention to Nottingham because I let the board do their job, okay? But that one, we did pay attention to because it was of our subdividers. And I'll go through this fairly quickly if I can. The plan was accepted first of the year. It was presented to the application was at the end of last year. It was presented, accepted here. I was here for that meeting, if I remember correctly. On notice, the plan that was accepted had some stuff missing on it, quite a bit of stuff missing on it that I think should have been picked up at some point in time. I don't believe you guys do a technical review committee as such. Hopefully you get some input from your department heads. I happen to have to sit on a technical review this morning for 2 different subdivisions and a fairly good-sized site plan. But anyways, the plan did not have a wetland stamp on it. The plan went through the whole process, and there's no wetland stamp on it, any of that I saw. Okay? That's a big no-no. There was a lot of wetlands in that plan. The stamp tells you that there was a certified person reviewed those plans, and they were appropriate through his delineation. I've got the plans back there if you want to see them. There was no stamps on any of them. There were test pits shown on the plan. There was no test pit data on any of the plans that I saw. Could have been submitted on a separate sheet. I didn't see it. I didn't study the folder completely, the file. But typically, test pits are shown on the subdivision plans. Test pits are very important on that, because that's how you define the buildable area. You have to make sure you have receiving area for your 4K. The test pits were not shown. There was no documentation who did it. There was no documentation that it was viewed by anybody from the town. Typically, the town sends somebody out to view the test pits. I think your ordinances say that the building inspector, code enforcement officer, supposed to go and do it. I didn't see any record that that was done, okay? That plan that was submitted, this is an interesting one, showed a buildable area on the small lot they were trying to subdivide. It showed a buildable area, and it showed another buildable area and a big back lot beyond the wetlands. The back lot had the size of the buildable area clearly put on it. The small one in front didn't have the size on it, didn't have the square footage, okay? We went to that meeting and, wasn't there. I saw it there. I said, well, it'll get picked up, it'll get changed. It never got picked up, it didn't get changed for quite a while. We went to a site walk in 2 feet of snow, thinking that we were looking at a conforming building area. It wasn't. I didn't realize that it wasn't conforming until I got the notice for the zoning board saying they were requesting a variance for a non-conforming lot size, for a non-conforming building area. And I said, why are we, anyways, that makes a lot of difference. I don't know whether the board realized it wasn't non-conforming. As I said, it didn't show in the plans, but it makes a lot of difference in how you review the plan. If you know there's a non-conforming area, they don't have enough size to put to make it to meet the ordinance. You might start looking at other ways of doing this project. And I think that at that meeting, I think I did speak out that there may have been a different way. They showed a huge driveway going out across the wetlands, a big wetlands fill, big bankings on it, some of the bankings were 6 or 8 feet high in the driveway. It was a big impact. I think that I suggested that we do one driveway to get to the back lot and get 2 building areas. I know I suggested to the zoning board, but I don't, the planning board. But anyways, those are 3 major issues that were not on the plan, that makes it hard to review if you don't know whether it's accurate or not.
Can I ask real quick, did you have a 5-page plan set?
I got the plans, you want to see it?
Do you have a 5-page plan set?
I do.
Because I got a surveying stamp, I don't see a,
I thought, we have a comment here?
well, yeah, I mean, it's a closed case. So as
It
far
is-
as I
it is a
know,
closed case.
the board can discuss it. The appeal period is passed, right, Alana?
No, I don't think so. That was my last question. How long is the appeal period? It's a 30-day appeal period, I'm
Yeah.
thinking.
I'm sorry, I thought it was closed by now.
Well, I think you approved on the 26th.
Of March?
Yes,
Then no. Sorry, I lost track
I'm
of that.
thinking so. So there is an appeal period, I think it's 30 days.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a written appeal to this board.
Yes.
The conditional use permit, I think, has to go to the court, correct? I think that's the way the RSA is written.
I think so too. I'd have
Right.
to double check.
Right.
That's a legal thing, I don't know.
Right. But so I probably won't be appealing that because I'm not going to take it to court. But we are going to appeal, the action of this board in reviewing that subdivision. What was I going to say? The planning board's supposed to do some planning, okay? You look at how to get things and do it the best way you can possibly. You had at least 3 citizens in here talking about the road being extremely narrow. You cannot, if you meet somebody in that road, somebody has to stop. The school buses drive the road, the snow plows, the road needs to be widened. One of them was the actual applicant complaining about the road. I know I said it. Matt Pitkin came in out of the clear blue and said it. Sorry, Matt, but, there's issues in that roadway that should be resolved, and the planning board can work to help get that resolved by saying, anyways, and that's a safety issue out there. It is a scenic road. We try to maintain it as a scenic road. We like, somebody just said they've been 28 years. I've been 40 years out there. It has changed some over the 40 years, radically. So the scenic road, there's a lot in your regulations about scenic road access, which I don't think the board pays enough attention to. It talks about when the driveways go through stone walls, they want the stone replaced. It'd be nice to get a plan for that, how they're gonna put the driveways in and how they're gonna maintain the stone walls, where they're gonna put them, what trees are gonna be cut. I know we just went through a 7-lot subdivision down the road. The subdivider did give us a 100-foot setback, no cut. We're in the process now of trying to keep that, enforcing that, which I think it's gonna get enforced, try to keep it with no cut on it. But anyways, so those are the three major things at the beginning where the plan shouldn't have really come to the table, I don't think, without those things being cleared up. The other thing that right now, I think you're correct, it has been approved with conditions. I think the conditions was a surety. I think that was the only condition, actually, something about a surety. Your regulation 9.5, page 26, clearly says that you can't approve a subdivision unless all other permits have been approved. Clearly says that. There is a major wetlands crossing on that subdivision plan that needed to go to the state, and you didn't require it to go to the state. So that plan is going to may get recorded with a huge wetlands crossing the state has not looked at, and it puts the state in a real bad spot, because now you've approved a you've approved a lot that has a long wetlands crossing that the state hasn't reviewed. The state's gonna bring up tons of things that didn't get brought up in this thing. There's endangered species out there, 2 or 3 different ones. There's lots of stuff the state is very concerned about that area. And they've looked at that very carefully. You saw the Fell Zone subdivision, it was all over that. And the fact that you approve a lot that needs a wetlands crossing to get back to the buildable area, the state gets in a real bind in that because their ordinances says they have to give people access to usable area. But that lot had a building area on it, the big lot. anyways, those are the, we could keep going on this for a while too, but those are the four things that I think, the board erred on, and I'm probably gonna appeal, I'm gonna have to appeal it on that, because there are other ways of doing that. It's very simply, they could have put one driveway across the wetlands to two buildable areas in the back beyond the wetlands. Their presenter said he could find buildable areas back there. He said it was back there, but we chose not to do that. We chose to put one lot out front, which is nice, and one long driveway to a back lot, which ruins the wetlands no matter what. And the state needs to approve that wetlands crossing before the plan gets recorded. Okay. We're not supposed to, I'd be glad to answer questions, but we shouldn't be doing that.
Thank you.
I think my wife is gonna talk on the current use permit, not the current use, the conditional use permit.
I appreciate, thank you.
We didn't have right, sorry. My name's Lauren Chase Rowell, and I live on 156 Stevens Hill Road. Peter worked all day, and we've been 2 ships passing in the night, so I'm sorry there's some repeat. But I'll try not to, but I'm going to start with, I'd like to say in public why I don't think the CUP,
Can I, point of order?
Regarding what?
We're talking about a specific application that these guys could have testified at with all these key points, which has ended that open comment part. I think right now they're at a point where this might just be, if it's a matter of concern, that it should be an appeal.
I've got, thank you, I don't, Blair, where the case is still within the time of appeal, how much are we supposed to?
The board, I mean, it's open public comment to the extent that the board allows it, but, they can say whatever they want. It's how the board responds.
Okay, that's where I was thinking.
Is really what this is about. And they both have not acknowledged that, so they're not expecting anything.
Okay. That was my thought.
Yeah.
As long as you're aware of that.
Look, I would say, you have a potential list of things for an appeal, that would probably be
But that's their choice. We're just going to listen to what they have
your
to say.
choice.
Question. Are we allowed to make any responses
No.
or,
No.
okay, all right, never mind.
No, because it is still a case that hasn't passed its appeal period to be fully closed.
That's why I was asking.
I misunderstood.
so does the CUP have an appeal period? Because it was approved, and I'm kind of picking up that there's no way to undo that. Is that true?
I believe it has I think everything has an appeal period, I just don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Okay.
I can try to look while you're talking, but,
Okay, so I just want to say that I don't think the CUP was managed well either. And, for example, on the CUP application, in Section A, there's 1 through 11, 4 lines, 44 lines in all, that they have to respond to. And out of those 11 areas that they needed to say why the CUP was needed, 2 were filled out. And out of those 2 that were filled out, there were 6 partial sentences. And I'm sorry, but I think that the CUP is way more important and requires more information than that. So I can't understand that. The CUP in New Hampshire is granted for can be granted for economic gain, but it's not supposed to be the primary or sole justification. And there has never been really another reason other than they wanted to be able to have 2 lots, because they had 400 feet of frontage, so that they could develop in the future for economic gain. So I can't understand how that slipped through. The CUP also hinges on whether the proposed use aligns with the town zoning ordinances, which it does not, and it can be shown to meet specific criteria outlined in the CUP process, which often includes considerations for public benefit and minimal negative impact. So there is no public benefit for the CUP being granted beyond their family. The acreage is designated no trespassing, so you can't even, so public can't even walk on it. And there are even signs that say cameras are watching you if you trespass. So that's that block of land. So one of the reasons why a CUP would be granted, because it allows like some kind of public benefit, but there is no public benefit. And then with the negative impact, the minimal negative impact, well, we all know that there's 8,000 square feet of wetlands being impacted. So the CUP doesn't hit that marker either. I say the CUP shouldn't have been granted because economic gain can be a factor, but not the sole basis. There's no other reasoning for the subdivision other than since they have the frontage, they want future economic gain. Okay, but I don't think that the CUP complies with the overarching zoning ordinance. I think that there's no hardship prior to the subdividing. The hardship is virtually created by subdividing in a way that squeezes 2 lots into the front 500 feet. But there's 24 acres there. And I know some of this is all twisted together and convoluted, but the hardship belongs to the town people of Nottingham because the land surrounding everyone is slowly allowed to be impacted, death by 1,000 cuts. And when we give them the waiver that they don't have to put the topography on the whole 24 acres, that made us all just concentrate on that little bit of topography. Like it isn't said anywhere, but it disallows the public or anybody concerned to look at 24 acres and say, wow, it's pretty flat over here, or like this could be a building lot. We just like focused on that front acreage. And because of we're squeezing it in there, we have a non-conforming lot, and then we have 8,000 feet of affected wetland. When possibly, if you looked at the 24 acres and you wanted to subdivide, you could find, and Ian McDonald said 3 or 4 times, I re-listened to the tape, he said 3 or 4 times that there were several, they could get the 30,000 square feet areas in several areas. So that, to me, that just doesn't make sense. And I don't think it's the intention of the CUP. The CUP application, if the CUP application demonstrates that the proposed use will create jobs, increase tax revenue, or otherwise contribute to the local economy, these can be used as supporting arguments. But in this case, there are not any benefits in increasing jobs or other economic gains for the local economy. It may increase tax revenue for the town, but there is no existing figures of costs or losses available on the impact of squeezing 2 homes in where there may be better placements on the 24 acres. there's a cost to the environment, the wetlands, and the precedent of asking for variances that require CUPs that allow economic gain as the sole justification.
Can I ask where you're reading from about economic development? 'Cause that's not
Economic,
in the CUP for this application.
well, I looked up New Hampshire's, and this was, so I looked up New Hampshire CUP, and this was some of the things that they said.
But that's not a purview of this board for the CUP that they were applying for.
Well, why not?
Because the board created its own set of standards for a CUP for the thing that they were asking for, and that's in the zoning ordinance. So that's what they respond to. So for example, for this application, conditional uses, there's A, B, C, D, and then that's what they have to meet.
And
E is-
there's an E, too.
Yeah,
And I
E is
went-
just about the surety.
Yeah, I went over every single one of those, and this was, I have notes on every single one of those, and I still don't feel like I mean, I can go there if you want me to, but each one of those, it was not
I just want to make sure that we were talking about the same
Okay.
thing. I just didn't want this to go much longer
All
into a
right.
place where it doesn't belong, so.
All right, and I just want to say that I don't think, if there was a public hearing on the CUP, I don't think it was clear. We came to a public hearing, but I don't know when the CUP popped up, but there was like 3 things going on. There was the subdivision, there was a variance, and then there was a CUP. So it's just very confusing. So if you say like we weren't there, well, it didn't make a lot of sense. I feel like the site plans were so then we have reviewing the application, which was the Stratford County Regional Planning noted that the application was complete, and I don't feel like it was at all. I feel like there were tons of things missing from the site plans that, Pete kind of say, so the accurate building envelope wasn't on the plan. It being a non-conforming lot wasn't on the plan. The boundary of the entire property, which would have allowed viewers to see significant opportunities. There was no certified wetland stamp. There was no total of uplands and contiguous uplands. There was no soils info. There were no tree lines. There were no ledge croppings or other significant features. But these things he checked off as they were done on the application, because I went through each one.
Okay, can I, I'm sorry, but I'm really no longer hearing.
I know. I'm
What
not
you're
even
saying.
hearing myself. I totally understand.
Just, it sounds to me like what you said at the very beginning, you didn't feel like we did things correctly. I don't know where you want to go from this, but, as you know, we can't make any comments back to you. So I appreciate what you've done, and I hope you don't mind, but I would appreciate it if somehow you,
Wrap it up. I will.
thank you.
I will. So my biggest concern is that with your approval of the CUP and the variance, that now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the DES will come into the picture, and there will be a hardship. See, like, the planning board really essentially has created a hardship for this case. And I don't think that's the way it's supposed to work.
Okay.
I think that, I think that you really need to think about that. And I also there's supposed to be wetland permits, and I don't know how, with 8,000 square feet, we didn't require a permit. And as far as I know, there's no wildlife studies, there's just the most basic information, even though influencers were talking about fens, bogs, eskers, prime habitat. That's all well and good, and it might be out there, but it needs to be on a plan if we're gonna actually use it as reasons to do that subdevelopment the way we did.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you for listening.
I just also, okay, sorry.
Okay. Review of bylaws. Somebody's cup? Did either one of you, Mr. Rowell, Mr. Rowell, did either one of you
Water
bring a
bottle.
water bottle?
It's on the floor.
Oh, wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, review of bylaws. Did anybody have anything?
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
Um,
Page, Chris.
So, I read this, and I don't know if I should circle first to the issue, and then about what we could do here. In the bylaws, particularly, it says there's a subdivision or a site plan review that we could do.
Where are you talking, please?
Oh,
What page?
let me start at the beginning, I'm sorry.
Very good place to start.
Well, I have several spots highlighted, but didn't like, this is point one. All right, rules of procedure, section 1, application for subdivision and site plan hearing before the board shall be made on forms provided by the board.
Where are these pages?
Section 1 what?
What page?
9,
Page 9.
Thank
So-
you.
Thank you.
thank you.
So articles, start with your article.
Article 12, did I say that? I might have said that
You
wrong.
said section 1, so
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
there's lots of section 1s.
Indeed. Article 12, Rules of Procedure, Section 1, applications for site plan and subdivision hearing shall be before the board, made on forms provided by the board, and presented on the designated blah, blah, blah. So what's come to my attention recently is that a couple things, and one was even here tonight, that this driveway, there's an application to approve a driveway, but we don't necessarily have a process for that, or an easement, I'm sorry, not a driveway. That's somebody else's approval, it's not ours. There's no process defined for that, so, in particular, there's if you read through the site plan review regs, it exempts 2 families and, from site plans. And so if you want to convert
You cannot be speaking specifically to a case.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm talking about
Are we talking bylaws?
a
Yes.
procedure. So in our
Page
bylaws,
9.
it doesn't set forth that there's other procedures out there and what other forms there could be. Like, we have a conceptual review process on our website that someone could come in and say, hey, I want to come in for a non-binding talk about my project. But something like this driveway or other things that are in the zoning ordinance, yes, sir.
Just, I know that we're not supposed to talk about specific projects.
Yep.
Correct.
The application that was before us was for an amendment to the subdivision. So it falls under the subdivision.
Okay. Or so that was what we said, let's make it an amendment to the subdivision.
So what, I'm gonna cut to the chase, because right now I'm really frazzled.
What page? Is he?
What is it you want changed? Please just give me that. Because I cannot stay all night just going over these bylaws tonight. Please forgive me, but I just want you all to know I'm turning in my resignation tomorrow. I'm done. But let's finish tonight. Sorry.
What do you want on page 9?
All right, what do we got here, Chris?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
On the bylaws, I'm,
Section 1,
Correct.
yes. What's the question?
on the bylaws, can we adopt other procedures, other business procedures, planning business procedures besides site plan and subdivision, and adopt a form for that?
What would be an example?
Review of parking on a conversion of a multifamily.
It falls under site plan
Site plan.
review.
It's exempted on site plan review, as site plan review only applies to multifamilies.
Then focus on the zoning. It's not a rules of procedure for the board. This is just simply how an application is processed on Alana's end. There are legal things that need to be done, we need to notify it, it has to be accepted within a certain amount of time, that's all it does. If you want to do that, that's a zoning issue, focus on the zoning.
And going to the conceptual review stuff, that's, because of the fact that it's non-binding, there's no application that's put in, it's just a discussion. That's my understanding anyway.
Yeah, a person could show up at the meeting and want to do a conceptual if they wanted to.
Okay, so in a conversion of of an existing building to a multifamily, if it's a three-family, then site plan is applicable under the site plan regulations. If it's a two-family, it says site plan is only applicable to,
Either way, it wouldn't have anything to do with what's in this document right here, is what I'm telling you. All right?
so I'm asking if we need to adopt that there are other procedures besides site plan and subdivision in these regulations.
No, the
Rules
answer
of
is no.
procedure.
The answer is no.
Okay,
Not in the bylaws.
All right. My issue with them is they're about 10 pages too long.
I could completely agree with you.
So where it says per RSA, per RSA, per RSA, I mean, we're just repeating the RSAs that are changing constantly in Concord. Can't we just say we follow the RSAs that are applicable for planning or whatever? Something generic and easy and,
does
Yes,
say that in the
yes,
first
but that
section.
is gonna take a longer discussion than we can do tonight.
well, I
But yes.
understand that, but that's really what we should be doing, is like stripping all this stuff out of here so that we can get to the meat.
One thing we could do, if somebody wants to take the task on, John, go look at what 3 neighboring communities do for board bylaws. And just have a look, see what they look like, see if they're 2 pages or 20 pages. And then bring it before the board, and then we look at the RSAs.
What
But
kind of communities did you say?
neighboring communities.
Oh, neighboring.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Northwood, Wakefield, Barrington, they're all similar-ish sized, you could look at them, or anybody else. I just wouldn't look at Durham,
Right,
Okay,
or Lee.
So,
Or Rochester.
so
yes,
perhaps,
exactly, yeah.
Or Dover.
perhaps we should make a motion then to examine these further and come up with any specific ideas for next meeting?
It's,
We cannot do it next, well, you guys
Okay.
maybe can if you want to, but you've already gonna have
yeah, you're not,
4
Four
cases.
yeah.
We're at
It's not gonna be for
4
next meeting, and it doesn't require a motion. These are the board's bylaws. You can bring them up at any time. They don't require a public hearing or anything like that.
Okay,
So just send the information, as soon as you can to everybody, and then, the board can choose to take a look at it. I'm good?
Pull those, can you pull neighboring ones?
You want me to pull neighboring towns' bylaws
Yes, that would be awesome. Thank you.
and send them out email?
Yes, please.
He's a real good leader, he delegated already.
Yeah.
thank you.
Do that.
Google.
All right,
I have a motion to fix a typo on the last page.
you can send that to Alana as well.
Okay. Also, if I have just questions about understanding, just a few terms that I'm thinking, should I,
Yeah, what can I help you out with? We can spend a couple of minutes.
okay.
Couple of minutes.
I think it'll be very easy to clear up. On page 8, there's a thing, no board member shall participate in any information gathering, and et cetera. I was like, what constitutes that? It says without conjunction, permission of the board, or without conjunction of the planning staff, and I wasn't even sure what the planning staff
I had a
is.
big question on that one too, and it
Is that
seems-
section 2 you're looking at?
Yeah, the last, section 2,
Section 2E,
the very bottom of page 8.
in,
And it seems like it's in conflict with.
with
the
F?
Next, with F.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure how to interpret that.
Express permission.
Yeah, it's like, it just didn't make sense.
I don't know that they're necessarily conflicting. I think E is simply saying that a board member should not be going out to the site and meeting with the owner during the course of,
What?
and meeting with the owner or the applicant, right? Doing information gathering.
Or the engineers or other people involved in the cases.
Yes, your actions are supposed to be done in public.
So, right, but we have permission to go and do like independent site walks or stuff like that. And
Yes.
this makes it sound like we can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
You need permission of the
I mean,
board.
I am noticing site visits.
Well, section 7 specifically says, planning members shall only perform site walks that are scheduled by a vote of the planning board for a specific time and date. So I don't know if that's
Yeah, I
contradicts
think,
this too.
I think a site walk is implied that somebody from the ownership or applicant's team will be there.
Correct.
The permission to go onto the site works under an assumption that you're just simply going there to look around. Because maybe a site visit isn't warranted, or maybe Chris's site visit vote tonight failed, but he still wanted to go to it. That thing gives him permission to do it. But it doesn't give him permission to go meet with the owner on the site and talk about the application. So could this be clarified? Perhaps, yeah.
All right, so it sounds like it needs some clarification to say, no coots.
Yeah,
The
exactly. Yeah.
people involved in the application,
Yeah.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, remember, conflict of interest has a lot to do with you just having a moral compass and knowing what the heck you're supposed to do and not do. Because was it you, Glenn, that maybe had a conflict with one of the last? You could or couldn't have stepped down. You might have stayed on. So yeah, that's where conflict of interest gets a little. Right.
Yeah.
Anything else, Danny?
Um,
You said there were some other terms or something.
yeah, on page 10, section 3, which is the top one, D, it says any party to the matter who desires to ask a question of any other party must go through the chairperson.
Correct.
And so little things like that sometimes don't happen by the book. And just as a new member, I was curious, like, is that something that if someone watches the video and is like, this didn't happen the way it was supposed to, now you need to redo X, Y, Z, or is, I guess I'm just wondering, how that,
That, you, I have said multiple times when people have been asking questions and they turn around to look at whoever
Sure.
that applicant representative is and stuff, it's like, you have to go through the chair.
Yeah.
Then I can ask the question, or, and what I often will do is look at and I'm like, you got that, so that they can address it when they come back on. But it's to prevent there being a back and forth between the people out there and excluding the board people.
yeah, I understand that. I was just wondering if some very small rule is broken, like what that means. Does it invalidate their whole application, or like, what is it's just like, you're not following the procedure, like it's a way to just, is that more
If there
the
were
spirit of it?
Like these people brought up perhaps some things that were overlooked. If they were to appeal it and bring it to the court, a court will oftentimes not want to rule on the merits of the application, but merely simply talk about process and remand it back to the board to review it.
Okay.
And maybe they might give instructions to say, I'm remanding it back to you, but only to review this one thing.
Sure.
Kind of like tonight's meeting was only about, we had a very narrow purview.
Yeah.
So, not going through the chair to speak to the applicant, I don't think is something that anyone could take appeal of and would actually get a hearing,
Right.
but I can't say for certain.
Okay.
I can also say, maybe the state's Department of Justice, whoever their Attorney General's office might, reprimand the town or something like that. I don't know what the escalation is of offenses, for continuing to do it, but, as Teresa said, it is a best practice, it prevents crosstalk, and the chair's primary responsibility here is to maintain meeting
Sure,
decorum.
sure. Yeah, I wasn't really asking or commenting about that. I was just
Yeah,
thinking about, there are very small, specific rules here, and what happens if something doesn't happen exactly as specified. So that makes sense.
yeah, it doesn't change the merits of an application. I don't think a judge would ever destroy the town's right and purview or an applicant's land use rights because of you not going through the chair.
Right.
I can't say exactly what they would do, but I just would be surprised.
Okay. That's all I got.
Anybody else?
I didn't have anything.
All right, so it sounds like you guys will be discussing that again. Minutes, I think is next. Let me get back to the agenda. No, it's updates from Master Plan Committee. You sent out a notice, right, Blair?
Sorry?
You sent out a notice on that?
Yeah, we had a meeting week or so ago, and we've got another one scheduled for closer to the end of the month, the Tuesday the 29th. We had an agenda that was me catching up a little with the board because I had to miss the first meeting. I was sick. So sort of introducing the project, going over it. We talked a little bit about data, but as I had told the board, SRPC is updating its primary data source, which will then lead to individual community data sources in about a month. So we're going to be talking about that. It's still being talked about because there's a lot out there, so we're gathering it. But we began our discussion about outreach and engagement. Who are we going to outreach to, and then how are we going to engage them? There's different techniques, there's different styles, surveys, World Cafe style public workshops, and then just general public hearings like this. So we're going to have a more final conversation on the 29th, questions for the survey, and sort of what we want to do for some of the other methods of engagement. And we'll talk about how to outreach to them as well. So that'll be the big piece that we talk about. Again, this is only for the housing master plan chapter. That group's purview is the entire master plan, and they may have future meetings that don't involve me because they're going to be talked about other items.
Yeah, apparently there was some discussion on Facebook about the whole of the master plan, and I'm like, that's a huge chunk. I didn't have any idea that people were looking at all of it, and I'm like, public's welcome to go into it, so.
Yeah, I mean, what kicked it off was getting the grant. And that gave the planning board a reason to create the subcommittee and then talk about it. But it would have been remiss to not allow that group to have the full purview, because topics may come up. You might get somebody really motivated that wants to address transportation, is willing to sort of act like me and write it for everybody, as long as you do all your hearings and stuff. But for now, it's the housing one. We'll know on May 2nd if we get funding for doing the natural resources chapter and the natural resources inventory through another grant program, which would be great to do. It would dovetail nicely with the housing chapter, but we'll see. The other thing we did do was go over what the status was on the 5 action items that were specific to the housing chapter. chapter 9 is an implementation guide for all the chapters, and within it were 5 action items specific to housing. We just went over it to talk about status.
Okay.
So that was the other piece to our meeting, our last meeting.
All right, thank you. Anything else? What schedule demonstration with Concom for LRAC mapping?
It's in the binder, and I had emailed it out and forwarded it to everybody.
Okay,
It's the Lamprey River Advisory Committee, or association, they want to present to the planning board and the, Conservation Commission their new mapping of the waterways in this area, in the Lamprey River area that they've worked on. And there's more detail on that sheet, I think, but that's basically, the point of why I put it on the agenda was that they were looking for a date that maybe they could come in and do a presentation to the planning board and the Conservation Commission at the same time.
I don't recommend the 23rd.
Agreed.
Is this to go over that update that they sent out, this Lamprey River Management Plan?
I think so. To be honest, I can't remember the exact details of it, but I think so.
Okay.
They did a whole mapping, and then there was like a 60-page
Yeah, 54.
booklet that they sent out, and I believe it's going to be on that stuff.
So if you didn't see it, it looks like the Lamprey Advisory Committee, LRAC, did an update to the Lamprey River Management Plan. I'm looking at it, it says 2025, updated from the 2013 edition. So, and it does have a series of maps and stuff. I haven't read through it, but, you know, I kind of am familiar with these types of things. So it looks like they updated their management plan, and my guess is they want to bring it in for sort of let you know that they did it. For the new people, LRAC is, in a way, is like the Conservation Commission here in Nottingham. They are an advisory group to this board for things that impact, for development that might impact the Lamprey River. I would have to go back through our regulations to find out what the triggers are, but there are some things where, are we supposed to, or would we have to get comment from them or something?
I think on CUPs or waivers, we have to ask for comments from
Yeah.
conservation.
Well,
There-
not
there was some-
yeah, there's conservation, but then there's this, the LRAC. It's a separate entity.
Oh,
And I know we've sent things to them before. I can never remember past projects. I know that we did something that we voted to be a DRI because of its impact or potential impact to the Lamprey Advisory Committee. And we listed them as a group that needs to be heard from. That gives them a butter status, essentially, is what it does. So I know we heard from them on that.
but Pawtucket Ridge, I believe.
Is that what it was?
I think there was some,
Yeah, they would have had to contact them, I'm sure.
Yeah. So again, in the same way that the Conservation Commission is advisory, but they're also not a requirement. They don't have the same triggers that the Conservation Commission does. Like there's certain things, like on a scenic road, you have to go to one of their meetings and meet with them. I don't know that that's the same case with LRAC, but the Lamprey River Advisory Committee. But yeah, have a look at their report. It'll teach you a little bit about the river, its management, as well as the committee, which is certainly something you'd want to have a little more familiar with, but.
So it looks like they want to have this finalized by June 1st, so apparently they would probably want to present before that.
Yeah. It might be part of their mission or their regulations, their enabling regulations that say you have to get input from the planning board. That may be part of their process. I don't know.
Could be, I'm not sure.
Excuse me.
Pretty sure that, well, at least we used to have one or two representatives from town on that committee.
That only gives you 2 dates, May 14th or May 28th, to meet with them.
unless we did it on a conservation committee night.
Correct, so you guys could do that.
Which I have no idea what their dates are.
But they may need to come here, that's the other thing.
Are they wanting to show us the planning board their maps or the conservation commission their maps? What's,
This board,
Says both.
yeah.
Right.
yay?
I mean, put them on the May agenda, the first May agenda. This-
May 14th.
If that works for them.
May 14th, it looks like, Alana.
I don't think you need a vote, because it's not a public hearing kind of thing, I think you
Right.
could just add it, so Alana, if you wanna just circle back to them and ask them if that one works. And then just check with the chair to make sure.
Whatever that
Make
may
notices that you make out there in the world and do your magic.
be. All right, so, sounds like that's gonna move forward. Public comment, or we have anyone out in the public?
You already had it.
Yeah, in spades. Approval of minutes, we have 3:22 and 3:26. Do I have any thing on these? The 22nd was the
The
walk,
walkthrough.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the March 22 meeting for case 25-003 SIT Nottingham Business Park as written.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the March 22nd minutes as written. Any discussion? Anybody see anything? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 600. How about the 26th?
I don't see a copy of those.
You don't?
I thought I mailed those to
You did mail
everybody.
them,
You did?
Here you go.
yeah.
Okay.
They're yours now.
Or, well, actually, they were in the real mail. They were in the
real mail,
package. They
Oh,
were in
okay.
that package,
Yeah.
in the real mail.
She did, yeah.
Actually, were they emailed also?
I didn't take that
I don't
out of
know.
that thing.
I think
Well,
they
no,
were,
I don't. The minute
I don't know how she
taker
fits everything in
emails
those
them
things.
all.
Pardon?
I don't know how she
and
fits
they were
everything
definitely in the
those
real
things.
mail.
They're always.
Anybody? Motion to approve?
All right.
Any
I mean,
questions?
if not, oh, was there a motion?
No.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the March 26, 2025 Nottingham Planning Board meeting minutes as written.
Second.
Seconded by Chris. Any questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
600. All right, staff board member updates. Denny, anything?
No.
John?
All right, so, the weight limit has been, has been lifted for the 26,000-pound weight limit has been lifted from the town roads on April 1st. Starting on July 1st, 2025, it will be illegal to put rechargeable lithium-ion batteries in the trash. So we need to figure that out, a collection for that. or-
So do they have a place where they're supposed to go?
Yeah, Home Depot or Lowe's or something. No, they'll take them. I don't know. We don't have a plan yet, but
Well,
at the
then,
dump,
how do you,
sorry, at the
Transfer
recycling
station?
center.
how do you prevent people from bringing something in if you don't have a alternative for them to do?
Well, we need to figure that out. It's starting July 1st is when it will be illegal for them.
Okay,
So we have a little time, but right now, you can take them to Lowe's or Home Depot. A lot of places like that will take them. It's,
is that going out on the broadcast at all for people?
It was at the BOS meeting.
it was at the BOS meeting. We
Right,
talked about it.
but
right?
I'm asking, is it on?
It will be on the town
cable?
website someplace.
Oh, okay, I would
Or
make-
whatever,
Because-
it'll get posted for sure.
Okay,
I'm just talking about it because it came up just
Yeah.
last
absolutely, just,
Monday.
just wondering.
We also looked at the Q1 operating budget, and we started discussing the town beach plan for 2025. Yay,
Sneaking up on you guys, quick.
yay. So, miscellaneous other stuff.
Okay. Anything else? All right, Chris?
Yes, I do have a question. And it's kind of relevant to the zoning, as Blair mentioned here, but it's not very clear. And it's about parking, multifamily conversions, and under that section, it says, parking shall be reviewed by the planning board. It doesn't say what, for the purposes, adequacy of parking shall be determined by the planning board and shall provide for combined needs of all the units, et cetera. So it doesn't say what process that parking is reviewed under, so.
So you're
if-
looking at what, is this?
This is the zoning ordinance.
Okay, that would be for a review of that. This is staff member updates that currently looking at. Do you have anything to update the board on?
I just want to know if there's a procedure on that, that's all. And how does one get to address a question about a procedure on this board? Without coming to the board and without making an application? Can I jump on the public side and say, hey, I want to know what to do under this circumstance?
If you want to talk about this, why don't you submit your question to the chair, we'll add it to the agenda. Because no one's prepared to answer your question. No, why would anybody be prepared to answer this question? We're hearing it for the first time right now. You're on the board, you're an interpreter of that thing, so you're asking
Yeah.
yourself as well. So,
And I've reviewed the zoning for 8 hours and the site plan review regs and trying to come up to how do you.
okay, so then
get
put
to
it in a
this
memo,
procedure?
send it to the board, and we'll look at it.
Right.
All right.
Send it to the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Through Alana.
Right.
Send it to Alana so that she can send it out. That's the appropriate way to send out anything for all of you.
Right.
That way, it's all blind copied and we can't do any, you guys can't do any major discussions.
Check.
Got it?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Right, no meetings over email.
Correct. I, y'all
Okay,
heard
thank you.
what I had to say tonight. Anything from you?
Good one.
I have nothing.
I'm good.
Nothing, the SRPC 10-year plan is continuing to move forward. We have a big event on Friday. But that's about it. We're gonna continue to ask people to participate in events that involve the 10-year plan. You guys are certainly welcome to be a part of it because you are officials within the community. Your pay doesn't reflect it, but you are officials and you are appreciated. You're always welcome to jump in on these things. So just keep an eye out for future opportunities because we're gonna need everybody's input. We've got a good turnout tomorrow. It's like 25, 30 people, but, yeah.
Very good.
All right?
Alana? All right. Wish you all well. A motion to adjourn?
I will make the motion to adjourn.
All right.